Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, episode 3 of Day of the Dragon by Richard A. Knack. Verisa and Rhonin just can't seem to catch a break in this chapter, so let's go! Verisa cursed under her breath at the situation she now found herself in. If this Rhonin bloke hadn't delayed the start of their journey, they'd be in Hasek by now. Not here, surrounded by dragon fire. It was also annoying because Lordaeron was actually a rather large realm, and dragons were few nowadays. So how the bloody hell had they been so unlucky to be found and attacked by one? She then glanced at Rhonin. Oh, of course. Probably something to do with the fact that he's a wizard. Dragons had senses far above those of even elves. Some say they can even smell magic. This had to be Rhonin's fault. And Rhonin had evidently come to the same conclusion because he was now cheesing it into the woods. Pfft, wizards. They might be effective from a distance, but on the front lines they're a goddamn liability. However, the dragon then veered to chase after Rhonin, and Verisa felt her conscience twitch a little bit. She didn't like the guy, but she didn't want to see him dead. Unfortunately, her mount had also been taken along with his, and with it, her favoured bow. All she had was a sword, which wasn't exactly a fantastic weapon against a dragon. So she sighed, and did the only thing she possibly could do to try and save Rhonin's life. "Over here, you scaly twat!" But the dragon didn't give a shit. Verisa's taunt failed to get any aggro whatsoever. The beast's eyes remained very much fixed on the burning woods below, scanning for its wizard prey. So, Verisa threw a rock at it. A laughable weapon against a dragon's thick hide, but the intention wasn't to cause damage. It was to simply attract attention. And attract attention it did. Oh shit. Verisa then started to cheese it herself as the dragon roared and dived towards her. She had no chance of outpacing her monstrous pursuer, and was immediately regretting her previous decisions, whilst simultaneously coming to terms with the fact that she was probably about to die. But, as is tradition in Warcraft novels, the Leviathan pulled back right at the last minute and started frantically scratching itself. Looked as if it was suffering from some incredibly painful itch, and the orc rider atop it was now holding on for dear life as the beast flapped about uncontrollably. "Now would be a good time to leave, don't you think, Elf?" Verisa turned to Rhonin, who was looking a little bit dishevelled, but otherwise seemingly fine about the entire situation. But again, now was not the time to argue. So the two of them quickly attempted to flee. "What did you do to it?" "Something that didn't turn out the way I planned. It was supposed to suffer a bit more than an intense irritation." Rhonin actually sounded slightly annoyed with himself, but the ranger was still somewhat impressed. "How long would the spell last?" "Until about now." The dragon was now hot on their trail again, and clearly intent on making them pay for whatever the hell just happened. "Do you have another spell?" "Perhaps. I'd rather not use it here. It could take us with it." "It's not like we have much choice, Rhonin." "How far to Hasek?" "Too far to run." "Well, is there another settlement nearby?" Verisa tried to think, slightly under pressure. Only one place came to mind. She couldn't remember the name of it, only that it was about a day's journey from here. "Just use the damn spell!" "Fine. Just pray it doesn't backfire on us." Rhonin's arms then flew up, hands pointed in the direction of the incoming dragon, and he started to mutter words in a language that Verisa did not recognise. And then, 3 winged forms appeared through the clouds. Griffins, with little bearded muscly blokes on their backs. Verisa gasped and looked at Rhonin with an eyebrow raised, and he looked at her and just kind of shrugged as if to say, "Yeah, that wasn't my spell at all, but whatevs." The griffins darted around the dragon, catching it by surprise, and a battle ensued. "They're completely disorienting it." "So we should probably leave then." "But they might need our help." "I've a mission to fulfill. They've got this covered." Verisa sighed, but he was probably right. The battle did seem to belong to the griffin riders. "Alright, let's go." A short while later. "Curious." "What is?" "Those ears aren't just for show then, are they?" "You what, mate?" "Sorry. Didn't mean that as an insult." Verisa didn't accept his weak attempt at an apology, but she forced her anger down. "What's so curious?" "That this dragon appeared in such a timely fashion." "I suppose. Those griffins and dwarves appeared in a pretty timely fashion as well, if you think about it." "No. The dwarves were merely doing their duty. Some scout likely spotted the situation and they moved to respond. But the dragon, I wonder if..." Rhonin didn't finish that sentence, because both he and Verisa then suddenly became very aware that they were not alone. A bunch of armoured figures burst from the woods and surrounded them. They carried no banner, but they did don tabards. Silver hand, tabards.
An elf. Your strong arm is welcome. But you, keep your hands where we can see them and we won't be tempted to cut them off.
Meanwhile, two shadowy figures met in a place where dreams of the past played over and over. A place where two shadowy figures could have a conversation without anyone else being able to eavesdrop or something. One of the figures was the unassuming 6th mage from the first chapter, Rhonin's patron. The other, who bloody knows?
What do you want? For you to hear me out? For what reason? So you can repeat what you've said 1,000 times before?
So that for once what I'm saying might actually register.
You've been around them much too long. It's time for you to abandon this hopeless task, just as we did.
I don't believe it's hopeless. I cannot, so long as she is held.
What she means to you is understandable, Coriel Strath. What she means to us is that of the memory of a time past.
If that time is past, then why do you and yours still stand your posts?
Because we would see our final years calm ones. Peaceful ones. All the more reason to join with me in this.
The other figure hissed at that.
Coriel Strath, will you never give in to the inevitable? Your plan does not surprise us. We've seen your little puppet on his fruitless quest. Do you honestly believe he can accomplish his task?
Graces paused for a moment before replying.
He has the potential, but he's not all I have. Now I think he will fail. But in doing so, I hope that his sacrifice will aid in my final success. If you join with me, that success would be more likely. So I was right. The same old rhetoric. I came here because of the alliance once strong between our two factions. But clearly I shouldn't have bothered. You are without backing, without force. It's just you. And you must hide in the shadows, in places such as this. Too scared to show your true nature. I do what I must. What is it that you do? What purpose do you exist for, my old friend?
At that, the other figure started to leave. But before exiting entirely,
I wish you the very best on this, Coriel Strath, I really do. I just don't believe that there can be any return to the past. Those days are done, and we with them. That is your choice then. But one request before you return to the others. And what is that? Do not ever call me by that name again. Ever. It must not be spoken. Even here. But no one could possibly. I said even here.
Something in Krasis' tone made the other figure nod, and then they departed, leaving the Kirintor mage alone to reflect on how much of a waste of time that had all just been. Why were they all being such a bunch of jerks? Together they had hope. Divided they had nothing at all.
Fools. Abysmal fools.